Hey, everybody, welcome back. It is the week 6 edition of the Between the Lines podcast. I'm EDGYTIM. He is Mike Clark. And Mike, we are here on a very summer like Monday afternoon recording this episode. And let's start right there. Weather's been phenomenal. If you think, if kind of like me, you wrap your head around these things every once in a while. We're going into week 6. We have had nothing but spectacular, almost summer-like weather every single weekend. Knock on wood, I'm hoping we get a couple more.
Yeah, for sure. I know I dodged the bullet of rain.
Yes, I did too.
Week.
Yep.
Last week, I know that there were some games that were pushed back, suspended, whatever. But yeah, it was. We were just talking about before we started recording. It was actually a little bit warm on Saturday, and now that we've got a whole bunch of artificial surfaces, that actually does make it a little bit of a difference. I did see some grass fields this week, so that was nice.
Cool.
But yeah, it's we can't argue with it. We still do have 8 weeks to go, so actually 9 weeks, I guess. We have 9 weeks until the state finals. So
yeah,
I'm sure we'll get our share of nasty stuff. But yes, I'll take this for as long as we can get it, especially dry weather. It's like, the heat I can deal with, the cold I'm not crazy about, but just keep it dry, please.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I can handle a little bit of wet and a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but if we could just stay dry, and I can handle everything else. So it's good to know. Let's go through our week 5. Let's start with you. You're again all over the place over the weekend. So let's start with your games, and started out back of the yards in Gage Park.
Yeah, I set I set a regular season record. I don't think I've ever seen 5 games in one regular season week.
Yeah.
So obviously we've done more games than that in state finals week with 8 games between Friday and Saturday. But yeah, this was a record for me, I think, for the regular season. Yeah, I did a couple of games for Southwest Regional, which I'm the sports editor for. SouthwestRegionalPublishing.com is our website. Just put in a plug for that.
Absolutely.
Coverage of 30 schools, all the way from the city out to Sandburg and Andrew, and up into the western suburbs, Lyons and RB among them.
Mike, tell that dog to be quiet in the background, will you?
Well, my neighbor's dog is out in the yard and probably seeing some squirrels or some birds or something.
No worries.
So yeah, it gives. Sorry about that to the folks who are hearing that in the background, but anyway. Back of the yards beats Gage Park 42-0 in the Public League Blues Central. Story there, Mark Morgan, who I've known for a long time. We were talking a little bit before the game. Mark Morgan is the back of the yards coach. He is closing in on 50 years of coaching. He started at Kankakee Westview under Bill Wendling in 1978. He's coached around the public league. He's been out in the suburbs. Still teaching too, actually. Told me that. And some folks who are close fans of public league football may recall that Seamus Murphy, who's now the coach at Sandburg, started the program at Back of the Yards. It's a gorgeous. It's not a new school. It's a pretty new school. I don't want to say it's about 10 years old or so. Got a really nice campus. 47th between Damon and Western. They built a football field right behind it, and it's kind of a landlocked property. There's railroad tracks right up against it, so they only have bleachers on one side, but it's a nice facility. And when Seamus left, and then the pandemic happened, the program had some tough times, but Mark has been there for a few years. He's trying to bring it back. Got some kids that are buying in. They actually have a feeder program not too far away over in Canaryville that they get a few kids from, which is a rarity in the public league.
Yeah.
We got 3 pretty good running backs this year. The best one is Marco Franco, who was an all-conference back last year. and a two-way player like most of the kids are. But they're looking to win the conference and basically move up to one of the white sections next year. Then after I got done with that, I went over to Rockney, which somebody suggested I should probably keep a cot at because I'm there so often.
Yep.
Went to see Kennedy and Muchin. Kennedy, a 18-8 winner. That was a Public League Southwest game, which is in the white division. Story there, Kavarian McCarter, who is a really dynamic player for Kennedy. He's a junior. His brother, Kamarian, was on the team last year when they won conference and moved. Well, actually, they didn't move. They stayed in the Southwest, but they put him in a Wildcat. They were down 8-3 at halftime. Put him in a Wildcat. He really got the offense going. Scored a couple of touchdowns, and I've kind of mentioned Kennedy a little bit in the past couple of years. You know, they're one of the main schools that I cover for our Chicago paper, the Southwest News Herald, and Rob Albano is the coach over there. He played at Lions, and he's really done a nice job. Kennedy's kind of a forgotten school and a forgotten part of the city, I would say. It's out near Midway. It's in the Garfield Ridge clearing area. It's not too far east of Argo, basically, to give it a geographic position for those. You know, it's a little bit south of Midway, southwest actually, but they got some nice athletes there. They got a nice program, and Rob's doing some good things there. Friday night, I went out to Oswego to see Yorkville and Oswego, a couple of Southwest Prairie West unbeaten teams. They were both 4-0 coming in. And I thought that Brian Cooney, the Oswego coach, put it very well. He said that they're very similar teams. They're not flashy. They do what they do, and they do it pretty well. Yorkville winds up winning 16-6, and they won the turnover battle. That was pretty much the key to it. It was a defensive game. It was scoreless late in the third quarter, and Yorkville kept kind of pounding away. Tavares Harlan Jr. is a nice running back for them. He had 122 rushing yards, and they finally broke a long pass. Jack Beetham threw a 57-yard touchdown pass to Anthony DeVito. And Yorkville, I would say, has probably got a pretty good path to be 9-0.
Yeah.
Which would be a pretty good seed for them. And I think Oswego's probably got a pretty good path to be 8-1. So they're going to be a factor in the playoffs as well. That's a grass field that I mentioned. Just a great atmosphere. You've been there a bunch of times, I know. And, if our fans out there, are looking for a different place to go once in a while, Oswego has got a great game night atmosphere. I would highly recommend it. But yeah, Yorkville looking very strong this year. Dan McGuire's done a really nice job there over these last few years. And again, like Brian Cooney said, there's not a lot of flash to them. They just play pretty solid fundamental football.
Yeah. Yeah, and in Yorkville, like you said, Dan's done a really good job. I mean, it's a program that, 7, 8, 9 years ago was, numbers weren't great. They were just kind of hanging in there, but they've really built up. I mean, their numbers on all levels are really strong, and had a chance to see them this summer. And it's a program in that conference that is, I think, probably made as big a strides as anyone. So yeah, they've done a really nice job. And you're right, they've got a really good shot at the rest of the schedule. Kind of both of them could win things out here and wind up with pretty high seeds. So again, just two good teams, and a little bit of a surprise for sure. I think a lot of us thought Oswego will come away with that one, but welcome to the Southwest Prairie or the Southwest Prairie West. So
yep. Saturday, I took in another couple of games. I went out to Bloom on Saturday morning for the Blue Turf at Sarf Field. We've
It's a
had a
great,
little,
it's a great facility. It really is.
we've had a little,
Nice job.
we've had a little bit of chatter about that on X about the blue or the blue football fields. That's one of them. There's a few of them, not very many, but they're one of them. The reason I went out there is Bloom's new coach this year is Dante Culbreth,
Yeah.
who had a very successful run at Simeon, as most fans will remember. He's actually working at Bloom Trail now as a counselor. He didn't get the job until July. They talked him into coming back. He wasn't retired, basically. He was just not coaching for a while. Anyway, so they didn't have an off season. They didn't do any conditioning. They didn't do any lifting. They got a really young roster. Rich, which has a pretty well-known coach of its own in Quincy Woods, who is very familiar to fans from around the south suburbs, obviously. Rich wins 42-0, not really much of a game. Dante is working on building things up. He brought a few of his coaches over from Simeon to try to work on that. And he knows it's a work in progress. It's one of the things that Bloom and even Rich and a few other programs kind of battle is this whole trying to make a football program work when you have more than one campus. So Bloom has two distinct schools, Bloom and Bloom Trail. Rich has only one school, but they do have two campuses. I know I think they've closed the old Rich East, but the old Rich Central is still open, and I believe they break it down by grade. Some kids go to the old Rich Central, some kids go to the old Rich South. And if you look at historically over the years, it's been really hard to build a successful, sustainable football program for multiple campuses. There's not a lot of programs like that out there. Obviously, Joliet did it for a while. Then they went back to separate programs. Morton is another one with Morton East and Morton West and Berwyn and Cicero. It's just Leiden is another one. There's actually two schools there, also East Leiden and West Leiden. It's really hard just to make that work. And, Dante basically summed it up in like a couple of sentences. He said, you can tell them 3:15 on the field, and if the bus doesn't arrive on time, then they're not in the
3:45, 4 o'clock, 4:15. Yep. Joliet had the exact same problems when they did it.
Yeah. So, I know that especially I know the Joliet West parents were pretty much the catalysts in getting that split up again. So now that there is a Joliet West program and a Joliet Central program, which kind of makes sense. That's, the argument against doing it that way is that you're really cutting out a lot of opportunities for kids in a lot of sports. Not in every sport, because obviously you can have an unlimited number of football players or cross-country runners or whatever, but for the sports that are smaller, like basketball, baseball, so on, volleyball, whatever, you're denying kids opportunities. And but I don't know. I understand why it's done. It's done because of economics. The finances of the school district just don't work to do it any other way. But anyway, it'll be interesting to see what Dante can accomplish there. I will be following that. But that's why I was out at that game. And then I was out at Gately on later in the afternoon, Kenwood and Simeon. My first look at both of those teams this year. Kenwood wins 28-20. And very impressed with some of the individual talent on both sides. On the Kenwood side, Lawrence Carr, who has an offer from Maryland, among others, just lightning quick. He had 60-yard touchdown catch, an 82-yard touchdown catch, and an 80-yard kickoff return for touchdowns. Their quarterback is Kenyante Lewis, who was at De La Salle, transferred over. He has, I believe, a Kent State offer I saw. He had 233 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. So Kenwood only loss was by 4 points in week 1 to St. Francis. they're looking very solid. And last year was kind of a frustrating year. I think everybody would admit that. They were 6-7 last year, which is an odd record to begin with. They lost 3 games to Young in the regular season, in the state playoffs, and then in the
Prep Bowl.
Public League final too. Had some close losses, but I asked Chris Goffer, the Kenwood coach, who's in his second year, what's the difference? And he said, well, we're in year 2, we're building the culture, and also a little bit better quarterback play, which you can definitely see. On the Simeon side, Mikhail Blade did not play, the Michigan commit. He was dealing with an injury. And Q Turner, the Simeon coach, told me that they're going to be very careful with him. Obviously, with the future that he's got ahead of him, they're not going to
for sure
take any chances. Brian DeMoss, who is their other premier edge rusher, did play. He's a disruptor, as we know, basically. Nice quarterback for Simeon. Also, Anthony Kroom Jr. had 230 passing yards and a couple of touchdowns. Simeon has a few other pretty good pieces too. Cornell Conley is a 2-way guy for them, a receiver and a DB. Made some nice plays. That's basically that. Kenwood will be playing Morgan Park down the road. That'll be a game to watch. Probably the best game in the public league this year.
Yeah.
Simeon is definitely pretty good. Kenwood was a little bit better in this game, basically. And
Gotcha.
that was my 5-game weekend.
There you go. Well, I was a slacker again. I only did 2. So Friday, maybe one of the wildest games I've seen in a long time. I was out at St. Charles North, and the North Stars pulled off a miracle. They were down 42-28 with 2:41 to play. All of a sudden, just flipped the switch on. They score a touchdown, onside kick. They recover, then they drive the field again. And JT Padron, senior quarterback for North, transferred in the summer. He had played across town at St. Charles East. So again, he was obviously a very big addition to North this year and had a huge game. I know he threw for, I believe, 267 yards and 4 touchdowns. He had almost 60 attempts. I think he had about 56 attempts. So wasn't completely accurate on the day, but again, had a really big game. And, after they recovered the onside kick, they scored the touchdown with, I think, maybe it was 0.9 seconds left to play. So that'll tell you how close it was. They get the touchdown, and Mike immediately going for 2. There was no hesitation. And then JT Patron told us afterwards that they had talked early that if they were going to get that final touchdown, there was no hesitation. They were going for 2. They went for 2. I know I had video clips of the final couple of plays. I know Mike O'Brien had video clips of the last couple of plays. Just go to our X accounts and go watch. It's the best thing I could tell you. It was absolutely wild. Padron drops back in a 2-point conversion pass, looks left, no one open left, and then just before he got hit and got sacked, he just kind of quickly threw to a spot on the left side, and miraculously the young man was there, caught it, absolutely got hammered, but was able to hold on to the ball, and they win on that 2-point conversion with 0.9 seconds left, and just an absolutely wild game, Mike. It's one of those. I mean, Batavia, I felt really controlled time of possession, pace of play. I mean, they had a big game. Mike Vanderluten again threw for almost 300 yards. I believe he had 3 touchdown passes. I'd have to double check that, but again, really good day offensively for Batavia, and really controlled the game up until about 3 minutes to play, and all heck broke loose, and it was just a wild ending. So again, that's 2 very good teams, 2 teams that are both going to be in 7A, and Mike, everybody on both sides just said, well, we'll see you in the playoffs, and he just came away feeling like, no, this is one of those that there's going to be a part 2 to this, and you're going to see it come playoff time. Absolutely game.
I know that Mike O'Brien was really impressed with Keaton Rinke, the
Yeah.
Northwestern commit. I think that he had something in his story that he's also a wrestler, and Mike was really impressed with his body control and his ability to make those catches. The other,
it's a senior, it's a real heavy senior. Not that every team isn't heavy senior, but this group had been together and playing together for obviously going into 4+ years now, plus youth level. A lot of these guys have known each other, and it's been a really close group. And a lot of these kids might played varsity freshman, sophomore year. So it's you can tell that they're a real tight knit group, and they just seem to get along and know each other really well. I think that makes a difference sometimes. I really do. I think they have that experience, and it definitely paid off. They didn't panic in the end of this game, and were able to pull it out. Just a huge win for North.
Yeah, I think the other thing that was kind of interesting is that Dennis Perrin himself said that they probably scored too soon.
Yeah.
And I think Rob Pomazak even mentioned, he said that, they helped us out because I think St. Charles North was out of timeouts, so they wouldn't have been able to stop the clock. And Dennis took it on himself to take the responsibility for that. I'm not going to say the blame. I'm going to say the responsibility because, this is high school football. But, that was another point. I don't know if you saw Mike O'Brien made that too, that a lot of people were blaming the officials, blaming this, blaming that, blaming whatever. But, which we get certainly in heat rivalries, unfortunately. But anyway, you had another interesting game on Saturday too, I know.
I did. Homecoming at Barrington. They traditionally play their homecoming game on Saturday. So you'll usually find me at Barrington on a Saturday in the fall. And again, very impressed. 42-21 win over Palatine. Lucas Tepes, the senior quarterback for Barrington, had a big game. 3 rushing touchdowns. Lamar Oosterhouse? I believe it's Oosterhouse. Junior, I believe the junior running back for Barrington also had 132 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. And just a very overall strong performance from Barrington. They, Tepes, a very capable passer as well. Hit Austin Coles for a couple of big passes. One got called back, but maybe I wrote about this in my Daily Herald column that maybe one of the best catch called back from penalty, scored a touchdown, got called back, but a tremendous play by Austin, and showed his athletic ability and why he's being pretty highly recruited. Palatine, again, Mike, a good team. Will Santiago's a really nice quarterback for them. They also have a couple of quality running backs as well. You got 2 Division I linemen and Evan Downer, and then also Showtime Tony, who's committed to Illinois. Really nice player. Was really impressed with him too this weekend. So again, 2 teams. We're going to see both teams in 8A. I think capable of winning a handful of games. So again, just able to see 2 ranked teams and get a better feel for that. And I know Palatine's lost a handful of games here, but Mike, they're still a pretty good team. I don't know if I'd want to draw the Pirates early on in 8A for sure.
For sure. Some big games coming up in the MSL West, which is a really good conference. Fremd is also in there. Hoffman Estates is kind of quietly 5-0 also. And, that game's coming up next week, I believe, Fremd and Hoffman Estates. A couple of other big games to note. It actually there weren't a lot of big games. I was kind of going through our prep work. It was
a chalk heavy week, honestly. It was a lot of the favorites won. There were very, very few upsets.
Yeah, Glenbard West knocks off Lions 24-17. A couple of long touchdowns for the hitters from Chase Cavan.
Yeah, I think it's Cavan
and Jamarcus Kelly. Second loss in a row for Lions, but again, we talked about how the West Suburban Silver is the best conference in the state in terms of depth. There are 5 really good teams there. So the other one that I thought was worth mentioning, St. Francis knocks off Providence 47-35. Brock Phillip threw 4 touchdown passes to Dario Milivojevic. and Zach Washington had a 93-yard kickoff return TD. This was crossover week for the CCL, ESCC, and there weren't a ton of great matchups, unfortunately, but that was one of them for sure.
Yep.
And we are still on the Jonas Williams watch. He is now tied for the career passing touchdowns record with 127, tied with Jordan Roberts of Aurora Christian and Tim Hutchinson of Greenville. And he is still chasing the passing yardage record for a career.
And I have that number for you. I found it.
There you go.
He is 969 yards away from breaking. Actually, he's 970 yards away. 969 ties it, 970 wins it. From Logan Malachuk from Nazareth Academy, who just graduated this past spring. So again, yeah, so that'll continue, and God willing, and stay healthy and all that good stuff. Jonas probably in pretty good position, Mike, to obviously break the touchdown record, which I'm guessing could happen this coming week. And then in a handful of weeks down the line, even maybe before we even get to the playoffs, hopefully he can break that all-time yardage record as well.
Yeah, I think that will happen. So next segment for us is something a little bit interesting and different for us. I was talking to a coach last week, and he was telling me about the what came bubbling up through the process of the IHSA bylaw amendment process. Every year this happens, basically. Every sport has an advisory committee, and within the advisory committee, they develop some proposals. And that's one source of new ideas. But actually, any principal can also propose a new idea for any sport, and a lot of them are very, very procedure oriented. Very low key. Most fans don't even know about them; they just pass. They're kind of housekeeping measures, I would call them, basically. But in football, we always have some interesting ones, and there really are some interesting ones this year. So, these are some of the things that have been talked about. One of them is adding 128 teams to the field. We have talked about this a lot. You're in favor of it. I'm in favor of it. If we ruled IHSA football for a day, these would be in place immediately. That would bring us to 384 teams. It would bring in basically everybody with 3 wins and above. First round buys. We've talked about this quite a bit. So that's one of the things that's on the table. Now, if that happens, then there needs to be some kind of scheduling adjustment made, obviously, because you're adding another round of the playoffs. So what do you do? Do you start earlier? Do you end later? And
I think you got to go earlier.
Yeah, well,
you can't finish in December. You can't.
Well, it's a crazy idea, but apparently some people want to do that.
Yeah, I know.
I think the only way it can happen is if the Bears build a dome.
Yeah.
There are a lot of state championships around here that are played in domes. Indiana plays its championship in a dome.
Yep.
I believe North Dakota does too, and Iowa does. So
Michigan.
Yeah, so this isn't a crazy idea, but we don't have a facility right now, unfortunately.
Right.
If we did, I think I would be in favor of it. I think.
Well, I would be fine, but there's no guarantee you're going to be able to get that facility anyway. Right.
Yeah, but I mean, those are the other ones we're talking about. I mean, Indiana and Michigan are NFL facilities, so I mean.
I know.
It could be done if the will is there to do it, I guess.
Agreed. Agreed.
Whether the McCaskies are interested in doing that, I don't know, but kind of an interesting thought. So the other possibility, obviously, is to start. There are 2 other possibilities. One of them is to start earlier in the current week 0, which is currently reserved for scrimmages. I'm told that a lot of people don't want to start that week with the regular season, just based on the town hall that this particular coach went to. That did not go over very well. The other option is to go to 8 regular season games and start the playoffs a week earlier. So those are out there. The other interesting thing is the never dead, the zombie idea of regionals or districts, whatever.
Never going to die.
Yeah.
They refuse to let it die, Mike.
No, but this time, I think it's not a bad idea necessarily. I think I would be curious to see how it would work, but it would only be to schedule non-con games early in the season. It would not be getting rid of the conferences as we know them. Conferences would still exist. Conferences could still schedule their, almost every conference, schedules 7 regular season games right now. So those would not go away. It's the week 1 and week 2 games that would be taken care of with this. There would be lists of basically of schools of similar size that would be matched up, and it's not clear yet whether the IHSA would be doing that scheduling or if schools would dip into this list and schedule them themselves. But
isn't adding more teams to the playoff fields supposed to be the solution for the scheduling issue? So why would you even need a regional district?
Well, I mean, some people would definitely say that, but I mean, if I'm Loyola and I'm sitting there with playing 8 games this year, and there was a proposal that came up that would guarantee me a possibility of getting those 2 extra games, I would probably be in favor of it. I mean, it's interesting. I don't know how it works. Maine South never has trouble scheduling people.
No, I was just going to mention how many teams really could not find a game.
Yeah,
One we know of.
Yeah, although I mean, I know other teams, came down to the last minute. Montini wound up playing a team from Michigan.
Right.
I mean, and there's always some scrambling.
It happens, right. There's always some weird stuff that goes on. There's no doubt.
But I mean, East St. Louis has had games canceled on them in recent years too. And, this year was kind of a weird situation, obviously, with the sanctions that hit the Florida team they were supposed to play. But, that's also something you run into, when you're scheduling national games and you don't know what kind of situation that those other teams are in.
Right. Under this system, they're done doing that. That won't happen anymore.
That's true, and that's something that East St. Louis probably wouldn't like, because I know they like to play the national schedule. So I don't know, but some interesting ideas out there. We're going to see what are some of your thoughts about any of these things then?
I mean, a lot of it makes sense. The one thing that I've heard from various ADs and people that I've talked to, Mike, this is going to happen really quick. So be ready for that. I hear it's coming very, very soon. So everyone strap in, because this is something that I think they're going to move on pretty quickly. So I just think we need to kind of sit and not be shocked that this comes out in a month or 2. So I think that very well could happen. I'm glad they're looking at it. I'm glad they're trying to find some solutions. Mike, anytime, and you know this, anytime I see regional district scheduling, I just don't want to go near it. Just don't want to look at it. Don't want to think about it, because of all the issues we've had with this previously. But if it helps schools, if it helps them get this stuff figured out, and we don't have schools that don't or won't find games, and fine, I'm for it. But
I guess
you got to show me. Got to show me.
Yeah, and I totally get that, and I have the same skepticism about anything related to districts that you do. I guess if there was, the thing that bothered me about the previous proposal that was voted in and then scrapped before it ever happened is
I blindly passed it.
Yeah.
Did that bother you? It bothered me a little.
Yeah. I mean, and there were a lot of things that bothered me about it. Number one is that there were a bunch of non-football playing schools that voted on it,
right?
Who have no skin in the game, I guess you would say. And I know that the folks in the IHSA office were not thrilled about the idea of implementing this by themselves.
Right.
They don't really have the resources to do this, and they would open them up to even more criticism than they already have. But it feels like I understand what the problem is, and it feels like a solution ought to be able to be created by people who are interested and invested in high school football in Illinois without basically abdicating their responsibility, which is what the district thing would do. I mean, the how do I want to say this? I think that the great thing about conferences is the fact that programs can find their own level by seeking out a conference that works for them. I always go back to a school like Taft, which is an 8A school, far northwest side of Chicago, surrounded by suburban 8A schools like Maine South, like New Trier, so on and so forth. It's just Taft belongs in a different conference from those schools.
Right.
It's no diss on Taft at all. It's just a different environment completely. And that's the case for a lot of schools. You look at a school like West Aurora, and you and I talked to Nate Eimer about this an awful lot. He's very outspoken about it. He was really against districts, and I completely agree with him. He said it might have killed their program just because of the schools that they would have to compete with on a yearly basis. But they moved in and out of conferences. They found a conference now that fits them again. And one of the interesting things is you look at different districts that have multiple high schools. Okay, Valley View is one of them down in our area, which has Romeoville and Bolingbrook. Even though they're in the same district, they're in two different conferences because the schools themselves have different
demographics, different.
They just have different needs in terms of a conference.
Right.
Look at the Glenbards. There are 4 Glenbards that are in 3 different conferences. Glenbard North is in the Duquesne, Glenbard East and Glenbard South are in the Upstate 8, and Glenbard West obviously is in the West Suburban Silver. So, props to that school board, props to that administration for saying these schools are not the same. They don't belong in the same conference. And that's part of the problem in some other school districts that say all of our schools have to be in the same conference. And, I mean,
it's a nice thought. It's great for a rivalry standpoint, but Mike, even those rivalries are not the same as some of these schools that they used to be in the past. They're just not. So I agree. I mean, be open-minded and do what's best for your kids and your programs. That's all.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll see. We will see what happens. We do have some questions this week, and I'm just calling them up right here. Our buddy Weather on the Go, a frequent questioner. Unfortunately, Weather on the Go asks questions that I don't usually know the answer to.
Hold on, let me look.
It's another Sauk Valley question. Dixon is 1 shutout away from a school high 4 shutout wins in a row. They play Stillman Valley 3-2 this week. Think they can do it.
Sure.
Also, 2-parter. Dixon's defense has only given up 130 total yards through the air and on the ground since a week 2 loss to Byron. And then he also notes Landon Knigge. I'm not sure.
It's Knigge.
Has 63 carries for 750 rushing yards, 13 total TDs in 5 games. I'm sorry. My knowledge of Sauk Valley football is unfortunately pretty limited, so I will let you handle that. How do you feel about Dixon, Stillman Valley?
I'll go with Dixon. I saw him last year. I went and saw Byron and Dixon, and outside of Mike Clark, that's about all I can really tell you. I haven't had a chance to get out there this year, but I know Dixon. traditionally pretty strong program. Like I said, I know they had some key seniors that graduated a year ago, but they obviously have picked up the pieces. And I know Byron's playing someone really interesting this week. I have to go through the schedule and look at it. But outside of that, Mike, and Weather on the Go knows what we cover and what we don't as much.
Yeah.
But we'll take the question anyway every week. It's cool. Yeah. We'll make it work.
We have another question from Irish Bears. Yes, Bears. Is there a possibility of changing the playoff structure to the highest seed always getting home field advantage in the state playoffs? I believe there should be some reward for playing well during the regular season. Thanks. And
I get that. I get it.
Yeah.
No question.
Thanks and love listening every week. Thank you for your question, Irish Bears. Thanks for the good words. This comes up a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't hear a lot of sentiment to changing it, honestly.
Me neither.
I think one of the arguments is that if you get into the playoffs and you keep winning, even if you're a low seed, you deserve a home game at some point. It's a reward for your fans. It's a reward for your program.
Mike, I was told years ago that a lot of this had to do with grass fields. And that they were trying to avoid these home field advantages where you'd have a round 1 or round 2 mud game. Next week, your field's completely trashed. So this was kind of a way to kind of balance that out, if you will. I don't know how much truth is behind that, but I could kind of see that. But that obviously has changed quite a bit. There's more and more field turf, artificial surfaces now, and it's definitely has changed, but I kind of get that as well.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess, yeah, it is an interesting question because I don't know of any other level that does it that way. If you have a bracketed tournament, with home field events being played at the home field of one of the schools, pretty much the top seed always hosts, but that is different in Illinois high school football. Again, I don't hate it just because.
Yeah, I don't either.
I kind of like to see different schools hosting playoff games. I think it's a great thing for the community. It's great for the kids. It's great for this. I mean, the schools make money off of it too, obviously. So, I mean, will it change? It could, I guess, but again, I don't hear a lot of sentiment to get it changed. So.
I'm the guy that a couple of times years ago would float the idea of neutral site semifinals and was shot down like a lead balloon. It's not even a consideration at all. And a lot of states do it. A lot of states do neutral site semifinal games. And I get the appeal and I get the attraction for doing that. You're putting those games in bigger facilities, and in this case, probably a college facility across the state. You've got enough colleges spread across the state. You could play a quarter or a semifinal at Western Illinois, play one at Illinois State, play one at Southern, Eastern, Northern. You can make it happen. North Central College, another one, an absolutely fine place to have a playoff game if you wanted.
Yeah.
Coaches just don't want to give up the home game, and I don't blame them. I totally understand that.
It's interesting because, this discussion has gone on in basketball as well. And because the super sectionals are usually neutral site games. Some of them are actually high school facilities, but it's the way the brackets are set up. The home team wouldn't be playing, basically.
Right.
There's also college facilities that are used as well. Michael O'Brien loves the.
I do too.
He loves he loves the home court atmosphere. He loves the high school home court atmosphere. He's not a fan of the college facilities. So I don't know. I
like from the basketball side when you get like those semifinals at like UIC. I think it really makes it a bigger atmosphere. Now again, I totally get the advantage and the benefits of playing at a high school gym. Totally get it. The one thing I would maybe consider, I would like to see, and again, it'll get shot down like a lead balloon again, but maybe semifinals. If you're a number 1 seed, Mike, and again, You're going to argue what's really a number one seed in every class. But if you retain that high seed and you get to the semis, you should get a home game, no matter how many you've hosted. There's got to be a reward for being a high seed, right? Somewhere besides the first round.
Well, that's what Irish Bears believes, and
yeah. So something I'd consider. I don't think it'll go anywhere, but
yeah,
we're talking about.
Anyway, what's coming up in week 6?
Another okay week.
Is there a game maybe?
Well, yeah.
There's
one
that might have interest.
Yeah, I will tell you right now, I will shock everyone. I will be at Mount Carmel Friday night when they host Brother Rice. So Mike O'Brien, look forward to seeing you again this weekend for 2 weekends in a row. So I'm sure you'll get booted from that game, right? He'll take it.
Yeah, I will not be going to that game.
I figured
go to, but
that obviously will be the headline game. By the way, FYI, if you go to my free message board, I have a listing pinned at the top, all the marquee broadcasts, the remainder of the year, all the upcoming WCIU broadcasts. You will see more WCIU stuff come playoff time. So they're kind of backloading their schedule this year a little bit. Marquee Mike is also showing the kid broadcast. They're basically just simulcasting. So I guess it's the Mount Carmel student crew doing the game this week. So that is what you will be able to watch live. I believe whatever was a kickoff, 7 or 7:30 Friday night.
I believe it's 7:30. Yeah.
Yeah. So that'll be live on Marquee, so you can watch it there. So yeah, that's by far the top game in Chicagoland, no question. Brother Rice at Mount Carmel. I will be there. Other top games, Mike. This is an interesting one that you could see coming. Bradley at Lincoln Way Central, and it's really that red division of the Southwest Suburban has come down to Lincoln Way Central, Lincoln Way West, and Bradley. And Bradley's definitely a factor here. It should be a really good game.
Yeah, for sure.
And a good year in your backyard there too, Kankakee. It's a really good year. You've got the K's that are 3-2 now. They might not lose another game the rest of the regular season. They end up running into Crete in week 9.
Yeah.
You also have Bradley having a very good season, undefeated. You got Bishop Mack, who's having undefeated year, and I'm going to go watch Bishop Mack on Saturday. Here's a game for you. They're hosting Marion Central Catholic on Saturday. So there's a nice, good for Marion Catholic to come down here on a Saturday.
Well, I think
Friday night, that'd be a brutal drive Friday night.
Yeah, I think that's that kind of makes sense for sure to have that game on a Saturday so that the fans are not getting home at 1 a.m. either way.
Yep.
But yeah, that's another interesting one for sure too. I'm kind of actually I got the one I've kind of got my eye on is Hope Academy at Wheaton Academy.
I did see that. Yeah.
Which is another.
I know Wheaton Academy had a couple tough losses early, some really good non-conference opponents. I know Providence was one of those losses, but it's a good team. That'll be a really good matchup.
And I think that's actually going to be my Friday game. So
there you go. Good. Some other St. Pat's at Bennett Academy, Maine West at Highland Park, Maine South at New Trier. But by all means, try the steak sandwich at New Trier. Batavia at Geneva, again, one of the oldest rivalries in the state of Illinois. That one's always a good, generally, last couple of years has been a good game. Prairie Ridge at Huntley, Canelan at Sycamore, Lake Zurich at Zion Benton. Zion Benton was at 3-2, I think. I know they got out of the gates pretty fast.
Yeah.
Also, Wakanda at Grant. We don't talk a lot of the Northwest. Was it
Northern Lake County?
Northern Lake County. So yeah, that's a marquee matchup for sure. Wakanda undefeated, Grant with just 1 loss. Working your way down. By the way, East St. Louis is at Edwardsville this week, so that'll be, if there's a test for them in the conference, it might be Edwardsville. So that's one keeping an eye on a little bit. Riverside Brookfield having a good year at Glenbard South. I mentioned Byron before. They're at Dupac. Dupac, one of the NUIC schools that's very, very good program. So that's an interesting matchup. Brother Rice, as I mentioned, at Mount Carmel on Friday night. Immaculate Conception at Wheaton St. Francis. St. Lawrence at Fenwick. Montini at Carmel Catholic up north. It'd be an interesting matchup. Mike, you mentioned earlier, Friend at Hoffman Estates, and then also York at Hinsdale Central. Not a terrible week. Not bad.
No, and we're in the back half of the regular season now. As we mentioned, the weather's been pretty good. Looks like it's going to be pretty warm through the weekend and pretty dry.
It's cool.
Yeah, the grass fields are taking a little bit of a beating just from the sun and the lack of rain.
Yeah, there's just no rain. Yep.
Which is kind of odd because when we think about grass fields getting beaten up, it's because they get too much rain, but they could actually use some right now. But as we said, not a lot of them left anymore. Get out, go see a game. Yep. I don't have anything else. But yeah, looking forward to the last 4 weeks of the regular season here. Then that leads into obviously your Saturday night gig.
Yep.
Wheeling the pairings and then straight into the playoffs. So it'll be a fun backstretch of the season here.
Yeah, always busy, always a good time of the year. And again, looking forward to a busy end of the regular season and the playoffs. All right, that'll do it for Mike Clark. I'm Edgy Tim. Thanks, everybody. We'll be back next week. By all means, check our X accounts. Mike Clark Preps, I believe, right? On X?
Yes.
And I am just simply Edgy Tim on X as well. So we will post a question or definitely ask for your questions every Monday on X, and just reply to that, and we'll happily use it in the show. So thanks for that. Thanks for listening and watching, and we'll be back next week. Get out and see a game, and we'll see everybody. Have a good rest of the